TG Geeks, episode 314, February 22nd, 2021. Us and them. And no, we aren't Pink Floyd. Us. Hello and welcome to
wow,
another webcast from TGGeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the Two Gay Geeks, talk about all aspects of Geek-dom and Nerd-ery.
And Pink Floyd music.
And Pink Floyd music. Sci-fi, comics, film, horror genre, you name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane, and we're coming to you from TG Squared Studios in lovely, it's spring again, Phoenix, Arizona.
And I'm Ben Raggington, and please pardon us if we do a lot of sniffling, a lot of coughing, because
allergies are back.
Yeah, the allergies are really back. We're a mess. We're here in Phoenix, Arizona. And by the way, you really need to see. I've got the latest concert tour that Roger Waters did, and it's called the Us and Them Tour.
Oh, dear.
And holy smokes, I think you'd love it for the narrative. I really do. I think you'd love it for the narrative, and it's some of the best concert footage I've ever seen in my life. So, yeah, I happen to be a big Pink Floyd fan. So there it is here in Phoenix, Arizona.
Prepare for hyperdrive.
Meanwhile, in the Hall of Episodes, the Two Gay Geeks are discussing this.
Well, in this episode, the reason I chose Us and Them, it's kind of like we're going to have a big BS conversation about all the things that we are currently watching, and so our thoughts on that. So it's kind of
a BS conversation versus a B5 conversation.
There we go. That's coming up.
Babylon.
There we go. Then we have our birthday shout outs, our featured podcast of the week, and everybody's favorite. You got some feedback this time.
Oh, yeah. We got some juicy feedback.
And the regular shout outs, and maybe something in the second segment. I don't know if we have some time, and our weekly recap as well as our regular shout outs. So let's get started with this. Well, here we go.
Mr. Haney.
Mr. Haney. No, we're not going to talk about Petticoat Junction or Green Acres.
Yes, we're that old.
Yes, we are. We are going to talk about a few things that we're currently watching.
A number of things we're watching.
Oh my gosh, we're rewatching. And
yeah, we've got usually we've got like two things in rotation. We have four, I think, maybe
1, 2,
five.
3, 4, 5.
5 things that are in the rewatch rotation.
Exactly. And it's one's a first time through for us, but
that's true.
The rest of it's a rewatch.
Although it's about to wrap up.
Right. So the big thing that we're really kind of watching, and for me, it's kind of incredible. I know that you said it. It's the Babylon 5, the new remastered. That what they've done, and they've actually done a really good job with the remastering. Everybody said no, it's not going to happen because it was done on videotape. And,
well, the visual effects were all rendered at a relatively lower resolution, and the idea of trying to upgrade those just seemed like. That was the big roadblock. Why we never saw Babylon 5 remastered for Blu-ray. I mean the footage with the actors when they're on their studio sets. Yeah, that was shot on film, so they could always remaster that up to 4K if they needed to. But the visual effects, no way. But and I love the press conference or the press release that came from Warner Brothers about this, about how. This was a labor of love for them and how they, how they lovingly spent all this time. First they they took the studio footage and they beefed that up to 4K and then reduced it down to 1080p. And then they did something really complicated with the visual effects. I didn't catch it all. It seemed too wordy to me at the time.
It took them 25 years to do it.
Well, a couple of things. Well, first, I will say that the effects look spectacular.
Yeah, they do. There's a few things that you catch here and there, but I mean, that's to be expected with the computer generated stuff that from way back then.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, it's
there's a shot, and I cringe every time I see it. It's the first episode of season 2 when you've got one Minbari ship blowing up the other one. Oh, I'm sorry. Spoilers.
Oh no. Does that really happen?
Well, the sad thing is when that Minbari cruiser, the Trigati, is destroyed and blows up.
No, they didn't destroy the Trigati.
Yeah, they destroyed the Trigati.
Oh, too bad Naroon wasn't on there.
No, we need him later. He becomes a good guy later on.
Yeah.
Spoilers. There is a grid. It's hard to describe, but I think it's one of these. Maybe when they were trying to design the ship, they use these. I don't know what you would call it.
Well, they always had these matrix and what they call wireframe.
Yeah, that's it. It's a wireframe. Thank you very much. You see this little bit of wireframe come shooting off, and it's like that because of the way it was animated when they first did it. Maybe it was just too impossible to try and actually make that look like a piece of shrapnel or piece of debris from the ship. Instead, it looks like a computer-generated wireframe. And I cringe every time I see it. But that's really it. Everything else, I think, looks absolutely spectacular.
Yeah.
And something they did, which I think maybe in the long run is a good idea, is they kept it in the original TV ratio.
Right.
They didn't go. They didn't go letterbox or widescreen like they had, because the series was filmed in widescreen, and when it came out on videotape, they released the episodes on a widescreen format, but it allowed for some strange zooming in, which completely destroyed the imagery at times. So I'm glad they kind of cut it to the way we saw it when it originally aired. Right. And right now, I think the series looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Albeit it seems to be somewhat out of order.
Yes, I was going to say it. Holy moly! Some of the airing of the episodes, it's not even in production order. It's just they're really out of whack.
Which so far has not been too damaging.
Yeah, we're in season 2?
We're only in season 2 right now.
Yeah.
We're maybe a third of the way in. But boy, when we start getting into season 3, when the episodes become everything becomes arc related at that point.
Yep.
I kind of worry about them showing episodes out of air.
Yeah, out of order.
Tiny bit of concern, but out of that, but still. I think I'm loving this Babylon 5 rewatch, and I think it looks amazing.
Yeah.
I think the idea of Warner's actually coming out and saying that this was a labor of love makes me laugh because of the constant battles that Joe has had about the rights for the show.
Right.
So, be that as it may, it's still, whatever the reason is, I'm glad it's been done. I'm glad we've got it. And I understand it pretty much looks the same. I think as if you were to buy it off of iTunes or something like that, or some other service that if you were to buy and download the episodes, you're still going to see what we're seeing on HBO Max.
Right.
So I'm glad for that in case Warner decides to get a knicker in their knots and take it away from us.
Knicker in their knots, yeah.
Yeah, knicker in the knots.
And so, it's a good, we've watched, this is like third or fourth time for me.
Oh, is it?
But you've...
Oh, I've watched it. I've rewatched this series countless times. I've lost count.
Yeah. But I know that we've watched it. This is either 3 or 4.
Oh, I didn't realize this was our third or fourth time. Complete through rewatch for you. I didn't...
Yeah.
Okay.
So... And we're continuing on with Star Trek Enterprise. We're now in the Xindi War.
We're in the Xindi War, and as much as I thought this was a great idea, it gets really murky, and because here you got to stretch out this entire thing for a whole season, so there's just a lot of bad padding.
Oh, yeah.
And it just, I just don't feel what are you contributing to the war?
Exactly. We just watched the episode that in the trivia it says that everybody associated with the episode distances themselves from it. They say, I'm sorry that I ever directed that. I'm sorry that I wrote that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of the episode.
Oh, I don't recall. Yeah, I can't
remember. But let's see. Our landing crew, they kind of revert into this. Into this this species. There was a genetic virus, and this is how the species repopulates, etc. I found it dull. The only time it was interesting is when we saw a glimpse of the ancient city.
Right.
That I thought was interesting because I wanted to learn more about that culture. But we only get a glimpse of it in a dream that the captain is having. So I thought, don't care for it.
What was this? Extinction.
That's it.
Yep, Extinction. That one. Anyway.
Yeah, so we're not. It's hard to race through this season of Enterprise. The fourth season is where it really came together and became the series that we all wanted it to be.
Right.
But right now, it's just
plotting through
it's plotting.
War, yeah.
It's exactly right. I mean, I think it was an ambitious idea. It was just poorly executed.
Yeah, and that's available on Amazon Prime that we're watching that. And then we have, let's see, what did we watch? We're continuing on with The West Wing.
Yeah, we're in the home stretch.
We are in the home stretch, the last six
or seven episodes.
Yeah. I think that...
Yeah, 6 episodes, yes, as of now.
At this point, I think John Spencer has already... He's obviously...
The actor
died. The actor died, but I'm not sure because we haven't seen him in the last couple of episodes.
No, but I think we're going to see him because we're now at a point where it's the 2-part election finale.
Right.
I think we'll see him there.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's interesting. Maybe not. Maybe they'll announce his death off. I don't know how they're going to do it.
Yeah,
because the actor really did die during production of the 7th season, so they had to write in his passing. So maybe that's why we haven't seen him at all.
Yeah, they didn't film that because he died in December, and the episode was like 4 or 5, 6 episodes ago.
Yeah.
Was the last one that aired just before he died. So.
Right. So it's hard to say, and because they gave him an IMDb credit all the way through the season, so we have no idea if he's in the episode or not.
He's shown as all 155 episodes.
Right.
The interesting thing I really like about this, and I've looked on IMDb, or not on IMDb, but on Wikipedia about how they touch on the real issues and the realism of the show, and while some people say, Gerald Ford's daughter says she couldn't watch the show because people turn right where you're supposed to turn left and blah, 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 and this and that and the other. But several other West Wing staffers have said that, it pretty much captures the madness.
Yeah, I don't think it's about do you turn left versus do you turn right. I think it's about just the insanity and the lifestyle of working in that kind of job, and like right now we're seeing the campaign, the 2 finalists, the Republican and Democratic candidate, as they're vying for the presidency, and we're seeing the madcap lifestyle it is to mount a campaign from start to finish.
Yeah,
and I think that's the whole point of this. It's not to show, how accurate, is the Situation Room exactly where it shows in this. Who cares?
Right.
It's really about all the decisions that each of these people have to make when you're a member of the West Wing staff or the president and his administration. I mean, that's really what the show is all about. It's not, as I've said many times, it's not the letter of the law, it's the spirit of the law. And I think that's kind of to make an analogy out of that. I think it's really about the spirit of this show.
Yeah.
I mean, I find it enormously fascinating, and there's a part of me which would be very sad to see it go. I think that's one of the reasons why I now watch the White House press briefings.
Exactly.
Because I feel like the show's still going on by doing that,
Exactly. And I just want to say about Stockard Channing, how, we've discovered a whole new side of her,
and
seen several other things that she's been in. I mean, she played Judy Shepard in the Matthew Shepard story.
Yeah.
Tu Wong Fu was. I mean, she just completely
she did a movie
opposite characters.
Yeah, she did a movie here in Phoenix. In fact,
right. I don't know what that one was.
I can't remember the name of it, but it was about. She was the mother of a daughter who comes out.
Yeah,
and it was a big deal. They had a big. A rally scene that was filmed in downtown Phoenix. Yep. We couldn't go because we had a commitment with our church that day.
Yeah,
but a bunch of our friends were there.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, but she was in that, and then then you mentioned Tu Wong Fu.
Oh my gosh!
Holy cow! Yeah, we rewatched that for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, it was great.
What a delightful movie! I mean, it's. I'm sure there are some people that kind of wave their hands and shake their fists and say, that's not really what it's like. But I think there's something really magical about how these three drag queens completely transform this town.
Exactly.
It's beautiful.
And then there she is. She's, the abused wife and plays a character that's completely unlike, Abby Bartlett and in The West Wing. And, she was in Grease and it just... This is a really great actress.
She is a fantastic actress. Yeah, so. I think the world of her. I just love her, and to see her in these different types of works that are just so powerful and affirming.
Yep.
is wonderful.
Exactly. And we're continuing to watch. We watched that on West Wing. We're watching on HBO as well, and we are into the complete series DVD set, or is it DVDs?
It's a DVD set.
Yeah, DVDs, because they didn't
remastered those
for Night Gallery, which I just loved when I was a kid.
I found it fascinating as a kid. It scared me.
As a teenager, the hell out of me. Some of them.
As a kid, it scared me. As a teenager, it fascinated me. So, what does it do for me now as an adult?
Exactly.
That's the question.
Some of them, in fact, the one with David Mclachlan recently that we watched, the farmhouse or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I remember being very different as a kid, and maybe I was getting it confused with another episode or two, but that one scared the hell out of me, and I watched it this time, and it's like, oh, okay.
yeah, I understand what you're saying. This was one of the I don't know if I want to call it a disappointment, because as we've talked about a number of times, we've sort of turned around and began to embrace horror.
Exactly.
So with that,
and see a lot of it now.
Right. So with that, and the episode you were referring to is the Phantom Farmhouse.
Yes, the Phantom Farmhouse.
Now, one that I did like was Silent Snow, Secret Snow. That's based on a poem. It was very bizarre.
It was bizarre.
It was very unusual. Not a horror in any stretch of the imagination, but still really well done with this story being narrated by Orson Welles.
Right. And I think the whole point of Night Gallery was not to be, well, Rod Serling wanted it to be more horror-esque. What's his name?
Jack.
Yeah,
I can't think of his name at the moment.
He didn't want that to be what Night Gallery was all about. So he created a bunch of Jack Laird.
Yes.
He created a bunch of interstitials and comedy and some other stuff. Now, some of the episodes don't hold up today because of how horror and the telling and filming of horror and the filming of those dramatic
what
things
they could get away with
has really matured at this point up to today. However, sometimes I listen to, especially the Rod Serling, the stories that he wrote and the teleplays that he wrote, were if you closed your eyes and didn't watch what they were filming, they made great radio plays because of his use of words, and you listen to the characters talk and you get the whole story. And he tried to write in so that the characters gave you all the background.
I think he would have made a phenomenal writer of radio plays.
Yeah.
Because his writing does seem to lend itself to that. The one episode that I was thinking about that I was really excited to watch, because I remember as a teenager it freaked the hell out of me, and we got to it and I watched it and I felt very disappointed, and that was The Flip Side of Satan.
Right.
About this really unsavory disc jockey who did some terrible things, and he gets sent to this radio station as a bit of a punishment, both in life and in death. And I remember being terrified by it as a kid. And I wanted to have that feeling again. There's something really fun about getting that sense of terror and getting the hairs on the back of your neck to stand up.
Right.
And I didn't get that. So I was very disappointed in that.
Yeah.
But we still got a couple of others that are coming up that has sort of a Lovecraftian feel.
Well, actually, we have two stories that are actual Lovecraft stories, Pickman's Model and Cool Air. And I've watched Cool Air a dozen times. I love that. I love the story. I've read the story. The story that they show is so close to the actual story that Lovecraft wrote. It's really amazing. I love that story.
And the other, what was the other one called again?
Pickman's Model.
Pickman's Model. I don't remember that one.
Yeah, it airs. There's an episode in between Pickman's Model and Cool Air. But
I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm very curious now.
Yeah, there's some, and then some other Lovecraftian stuff, because obviously Lovecraft allowed people to play in his universe.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of Lovecraftian elements in some of the stories that we've seen so far.
I will be interested to see that, because Lovecraft can be a very difficult thing to film.
Yep.
So I'll be fascinated to see how that plays out.
Yeah, exactly. And we're also watching Fringe again.
Oh my goodness.
This is our
second watch through now.
So it's kind of interesting. Of course, I love Walter, and in the very first episode when they pick him up and they're taking him, he says, "Oops, I pissed myself. It was just a little squirt."
It was just a little squirt. I remember the first time you saw that, you were laughing for like 10 minutes.
Oh my God.
We had to pause it.
It was like, oh my God, I immediately loved Walter after that because he was so strange.
Well, I think everybody loved Walter after that. That pretty much sold him. And it shows the brilliance of John Noble, who does a great job at playing very dark, intense characters. I think the guy's got a flair for comedy.
Oh yeah, he does. And just the straight man. He's just
exactly.
Just monotone delivery.
He's the Abbott of the Abbott and Costello type.
Exactly.
Kind. Yeah, exactly. I think he's great.
So, what do you think of the series
Fringe? The one thing
on
that
the way back through,
looking
for the observers.
Well, the observers are fun. Now that I know that they're like in almost every episode, it's fun to kind of locate them. What I'd forgotten is how disgusting that series is.
Yeah.
Wow. We're only through the first, well, not through, but we're into the first season, and there are a lot of things that are kind of gross.
Yeah, pretty gross.
And here we are, we're trying to eat this, and I mistakenly pick it as our dinner watching material.
Oops. Yeah.
Yeah, that's hard.
You're a little squeamish anyway.
I admit, seeing like this organic thing with teeth surrounding this guy's heart, as they've cracked his chest open, I'm like, oh yeah, num num. Yeah, this dinner tastes really yummy. Thank you for making the lasagna.
Yeah. Well, nothing bothers me. So
I am very much affected by these kinds of things. But I'm fascinated with the idea of the conspiracy. And now now that I've done the watch one time, I'm already trying to make the connection. Okay, so this whole bit about the pattern and how does this sort of tie into where the series really goes to. Right. I'm trying to see those narrative connections now. So
exactly.
That makes it kind of fun.
Yeah. And Fringe is on Amazon Prime.
With commercials,
although, you can purchase it.
Yeah, I'm becoming,
for a slight fee.
I'm wondering if it's worth it or not.
Yeah, but we will have links to the IMDb pages as well as where we are watching these things, and for Night Gallery where you can purchase the the complete series DVD on the website for this episode. And that's kind of it that we're watching. We're in our rewatch phase, shall we say.
/rewatch.
Exactly. So we'll just move on with this episode.
I'm Lizzie.
I'm Eric.
That's not right.
One brain.
We're Cheshire Moon.
And you're listening to the Two Gay Geeks.
And here's a few selected birthdays for February 22nd through February 28th. And yes, this is not a leap year. 2021. So, February 22nd, we have Kyle McLachlan. Actor. Dune was his very first role that he ever did.
Really?
Yeah. Gone on to do quite a bit of TV and feature films. Owns a winery in the Columbia Valley in Washington, which is southwestern Washington, called Pursued by Bear. And it's a reference to the only stage direction that William Shakespeare ever gave.
Move as you were pursued, as if you were being pursued by a bear or something.
It says, exit pursued by bear. Anyway.
Wow.
And when his son was born, he created a new wine vintage called Baby Bear. Then we have James Hong, actor. He's 92 still acting.
I love this guy.
The ubiquitous Chinese actor. He's been in everything.
He was in Gomer Pyle.
I know. He was in The West Wing as the Chinese ambassador.
Yes, he was.
He's been, I mean, in everything.
Including music videos. Lopan style.
Lopan style, exactly. Speaking of, he played Lopan in 3 different films. Starting with, I abbreviated BTILC.
Oh, Big Trouble in Little China.
Big Trouble in Little China. And then Chuck and the Chronicle.
Chuck and the Chronicle?
Yeah. Chuck.
Oh, the series Chuck. Of course.
The Chronicle.
Chuck is beloved by a lot of genre fans.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to. I think that's a show we need to do a watch on.
Maybe after we get through some of this other stuff we're watching. And he was actually born in Minneapolis.
No kidding.
Yeah, his father owned an herb shop where all of the Chinese. He says. He tells the story of all the Chinese laundrymen had nothing to do on Saturday, so they would gather at his father's herb shop, and his father would hire members of the Chinese opera in San Francisco to come and perform. So he said he was a small child and remembers being fascinated by it.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So, yeah.
I love James Hong. He's a fantastic actor.
He is.
And he can do drama, dry comedy. I mean, the guy's great.
He is. He's great. Then we have Marnie Nixon, the voice of the singing voice of Hollywood.
Voice. Yes.
She did My Fair Lady for Audrey Hepburn, West Side Story's Maria for Natalie Wood, and The King and I's Anna for Deborah Kerr.
Mm-hmm.
And as well as she was a nun in The Sound of Music.
That's right.
And she toured with Liberace and Victor Borge quite extensively.
Ooh.
So she sang, she was there to do the singing of songs instead as interludes in between their playing and whatnot.
How about that?
So, yeah. Interesting. February 23rd, Josh Gad, actor. Mm-hmm. He was in Beauty and the Beast as LeFou and Frozen as Olaf, from both of those from Disney. And let's see.
Oh, he did another one.
Oh, yeah. I don't.
It's a movie that I really trash. Artemis Fowl.
Oh, yeah.
I trashed that film.
Yeah.
Sorry, Josh.
Yeah.
But that movie was a train wreck.
It was. He was kind of funny in it, though.
He was kind of funny, the character notwithstanding. But the movie as a whole was just a flaming dumpster pile.
Yep.
It was a mess.
And then we have Majel Barrett Roddenberry.
Majel Barrett Roddenberry.
Roddenberry, yes. Actress, the First Lady of Star Trek, married to Gene, obviously.
There are some people who would say that she's not the First Lady of Star Trek.
Well,
it depends on who you talk to. Some people say it's her. Some people say it was Lucille Ball.
Well, Lucille Ball was the mother of Star Trek.
Yeah, maybe, or the fairy godmother of Star Trek.
Exactly.
Maybe we'll call her that.
Yeah, she was the voice of the computer for how many
shows?
Virtually all of Next Generation.
Virtually all of Next Gen, yes.
And Nurse Chapel and Waxana Troy. And sadly died of leukemia in 2008. That was a sad day.
I met her. I mean, and she was really unusual. She was the kind of person who you could just walk up to and talk to her.
Yeah.
I did that several times at cons, at conventions in California when she was there pushing Star Trek: The Next Generation. And there were times where I just walked right up to her and I would start a conversation about something that I heard. And she'd be like at a table, not her table, someone else's table, just walking around the dealer's room. Yeah. And you could just walk up to her and say, "Hey, Majel," just hi. And, I heard this. And then you could start a conversation with her and she would happily engage you. I mean, I loved that about her.
Right. And then we have February 24th, Steve Jobs, Mr. Apple, or the front man of Apple, majority shareholder of...
What did you write?
I don't know what I wrote. It's unintelligible.
Oh, dear.
I think autocorrect screwed it up. He was the majority shareholder and CEO of Pixar until it was purchased by Disney, and then when he became a board member. I mean,
right.
Almost more shares than the Disney's owned.
Yeah, that's true.
After that. I was diagnosed with cancer in 2003, which eventually took his life in 2011. But that was kind of a sad day too. I mean, for all his foibles and
he had a lot of foibles,
and all of that,
but the man was a bit of a visionary
and a genius.
Yeah,
it was just unbelievable. Then we have Edward James Olmos, actor.
We met him. Well, not met him, but we saw him. We were at the Phoenix Film Festival, and I think there was a film that he had been in, and they were showing it. So he was a guest, and he walked right by us. We had just gotten out of one screening, and he had purchased a nice big tub of popcorn, and he was about to go into a theater for a screening, for whatever it was, and he walked right past me, and I thought, I should say, I am not a tall person, me. Edward James Olmos is shorter than me by about half an inch.
Yeah, but he looks so tall.
He does.
Everything that he's done.
I'm sure they put him on a box.
Yep. So he played Jaime Escalante in Stand and Deliver, obviously Blade Runner, Battlestar Galactica. He was Chicharron in Coco.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Love that.
I actually was arrested and did time in jail for trespassing on Vieques Island in Puerto Rico to protest the island being used as a bombing target.
He is quite the activist. I mean, the man is a hero for a lot of people.
Yep. So, let's see. Then we have February 25th, George Harrison.
My favorite Beatle.
A musician, guitarist for the Beatles, played 26 different instruments.
That is talented.
Yep. I was a devout Monty Python fan.
Yes, he was.
Yep. And
he was friends with Eric Idle.
Yep. We lost him way too soon.
Way too soon. And he was a very generous man. When he started doing his solo work, take, for example, My Sweet Lord, which was arguably one of his biggest hits, he didn't play the guitar part on that. That was Peter Frampton. Yeah. He would get other great guitarists to come in, and they were prepared to play second banana to him. But no, he said, "No, you do the solo."
Yeah,
the man was very generous.
Yep. And then we have Sean Astin, actor, son of Patty Duke. John Astin was in fact not his father; it was his stepfather, but he took the name Astin as his last name, and he had to gain 40 pounds to do the role of Sam.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
because he wasn't exactly thin, but he looked pretty. I'm not gonna say fat, but he looked sturdy when he did the movie Rudy.
Yeah.
So I just figured that was his body type.
Yeah. Anson Mount, actor, picked to play Captain Pike in the new series, The Strange New Worlds.
Yes.
revisit his role as Captain Pike from Discovery.
Which took Star Trek by storm.
Oh, yeah. He was great. He was really great. And I'm glad they have decided to do that story on Captain Pike. So, yeah. February 26th, Levi Strauss founded the Levi Strauss & Company in 1853 as a dry goods company, and later met Jacob Davis, the inventor of the riveted denim pants. And the Levi's brand was patented in 1873.
And he's related to Johann Strauss. It's a fact.
It's a fact.
No,
it's not. Johnny Cash is related to Johann Strauss.
Is he? I didn't know that.
Anyway, Johnny Cash, singer, songwriter, man in black, and was inducted into both the Country Music Hall of Fame and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Right.
Did numerous concert at prisons, notably Folsom Prison and San Quentin in California. And his songs, I remember, oh my gosh, I remember the 60s. My parents had several Johnny Cash 8-track tapes.
He was the man.
Yep. His songs had an underlying social meanings that could be kind of gritty, and he was always for the underdog.
Yeah.
Social, justice was his big thing.
One of his last songs, he covered, I think the song is called Pain. Now, forgive me, people, for not being up on this. I think the song is called Pain, and I believe it was originally recorded by Pearl Jam, and he covered it, and it is haunting. And I think I think his recording was used as part of the trailer music for the movie Logan.
Yeah.
I mean, wow! Up to the very end, he was shaking the music industry with his work.
Right. Yeah. And he died in 2003 as complications of diabetes, just after his wife, June Carter Cash, died. Just a couple of months. And then we have a former coworker of mine, Amy McCreary. Happy birthday, Amy. February 27th, Elizabeth Taylor, actress. Oh my God, too many roles. Wow. Just too many. Married 8 times, 2 of which were to Richard Burton.
Yeah. I think even up to her last days of her life, she proclaimed Richard Burton as the love of her life.
Yeah. Owned some of the most magnificent jewelries. I mean, some huge diamonds in her collection, and became an activist for AIDS research. And her life was larger than life.
Oh,
she lived a larger than life
in so many ways imaginable.
Yep.
But she was beautiful.
Yep.
She really was. I saw her. She had this connection to a series called Hotel on ABC, and of course, at the time the series started, she had weight issues. She admitted it. But when she did a guest appearance on the series Hotel, she had slimmed down, and it was like all over the newspapers and magazines. And I took a look at her, and I thought, and she was dressed in this beautiful, very classy gown. And I looked at her and I thought, well, now I can understand why everybody thought she was the most beautiful woman in the world, because she looked amazing.
Yep. Then we have Marian Anderson, American contralto, was the first black American woman to sing at the Met in 1955. She retired from singing, but she'd sung, she started her career early on and retired from singing in 1965, but continued to make public appearances and would often narrate Aaron Copland's Lincoln Portrait.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and with her nephew, James DePriest, conducting. And incidentally, DePriest was interim conductor and was considered for a full time here at Phoenix Symphony.
No kidding.
Yeah, he was the one that was in the wheelchair.
Oh, I remember him. Yeah, we saw him conduct Beethoven's Fifth.
Yeah. So, interesting. And then we have Morella Freni, opera singer, married to Nikolai Yurov, born in Modena, Italy, same place that Pavarotti was from, and sang at the Met from 1965 well into the 90s. Died last year just shy of her 85th birthday. Wow, she was a force to be reckoned with.
She really was. Sadly,
and beautiful.
Yes, and sadly, I didn't discover her until the latter part of her career, and I finally had the pleasure of hearing some of her recordings when she was in the prime of her singing life. She was
incredible.
Her voice was spectacular.
Yep.
Just beautiful.
And then we have friends of ours, Logan Marshall. Happy birthday,
Happy
Logan.
birthday.
And Jan-Mark Quisenbing, the Janimal. Yeah. February 28th.
Speaking of opera.
Yes. Bernadette Peters.
I didn't know she was an opera singer.
Exactly. I know I've told this story before, but for those of you that haven't heard it, I listen to Met Opera in the car all the time. And before the great pause here, when we drove all the time, it was several years ago, I kept hearing this spot on Met Opera Radio for Roberta Peters. Hi, I'm Roberta Peters, and you're listening to the Met Opera Radio. And I thought, I didn't know she sang opera.
And you were thinking,
I was thinking of Bernadette Peters. And then I figured out, because I didn't really know who Roberta Peters was at that time. And then come to find out, oh my gosh, she was an incredible opera singer as well. So anyway, I had to put her on here for that reason. Then we have Vincente Minnelli, movie director, husband of Judy Garland, father of Liza. Mm-hmm. His big claims to fame were Gigi and Kismet, An American in Paris, as well as many others. Oh my gosh, he was an incredible director. Mm-hmm. He actually, when he signed on with MGM, he did an internship of sorts in every department on the lot before he directed his first film.
I can respect that.
So he knew...
He worked his way up.
Yeah, he worked his way up and learned everything. Incidentally, he invented the crab dolly, which makes the camera... You can take the camera in any direction instead of just back and forth with the regular dollies.
I imagine it's probably still in use today.
Yep, I'm sure it is. And then we have Pedro Zamora, who was born on February 29th. Was an AIDS activist, an educator, an actor.
Yeah.
Was featured on Real World San Francisco.
Yeah, we lost him due to AIDS.
Yep. Was praised by President Clinton for putting a human face on HIV.
Yeah.
And died at the age of 22 in November of 1994.
Yeah, we at that time, we didn't have the medical technology, whatever you want to call it. The medicines were not there to help a person live with HIV and live with a quality of life. And so, yeah, he died just before that was available to us.
Yep. And that's it for the birthdays this time.
Technorama, the podcast for geeks, because geeks are better than cool. You don't hear someone say, "Get away from me, you cool person." Who's gonna have their 65-inch home theater system installed by the Cool Squad? Not me, that's for sure. How much cool cred do you have? Not enough to care about. Think you'll find any canned unicorn meat at thinkcool.com? It's just a part domain name. They don't even have roadkill in a paper cup. That's why you need to start listening to Technorama, because that's what geeks do. Go to chuckchat.com and listen to Technorama before you turn cool.
Go give a listen to our friends Chuck and Craig over at Technorama Podcast.
I'm Daniel Radcliffe, and I believe that reaching out for help is the bravest thing a person can do. If you are struggling and need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. It's free and confidential, and trained counsellors are there to listen 24/7 without judgment. To learn more about the Trevor Project's life-saving work for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning young people, go to thetrevorproject.org.
We want to give a shout out, as always, to the Joshua Tree Feeding Program, a 501c3 nonprofit food pantry for the HIV and AIDS community in Maricopa and Pinal counties. They offer a wide variety of assortment of nutritional foods to take home, as well as supplements and some other things, pet food and some other toiletries, just a little bit of everything. They set it up like a store so that the clients can come in and take what they want, and it empowers them to choose the food and not let it go to waste. Please consider supporting the Joshua Tree Feeding Program through a single or a monthly recurring gift. You can do that by going to jtfp.org.
I'm Daniel Radcliffe, and I believe...
Well, it's time for our
Sorry about
feedback.
that.
Yeah, it's time for our feedback. A button will do a lot of damage.
Yes, and sorry if there's any background noise. Our next door neighbor is drilling into their wall right as we're trying to do this.
Anyway, this is time for our feedback, and each of these story items that generated this feedback, their links will be featured in the show notes for this episode, number 314 at tggeeks.com, starting with, regarding Ben's breakdown, Star Trek Discovery Season 3 thoughts. Got a comment from one of your oldest friend, Bill Hensley. He said, Star Trek is back. Now, he was quoting me when I said that in my review. He said, yes, I hope so. While I've enjoyed a lot of the episodes of Disco, which is what we lovingly call that show.
Everybody calls it, yeah.
I've not been happy with the overall storylines of seasons 1 and 2. Okay, I agree with you about 1. 2 I sort of liked. In fact, active dislike is probably more accurate. Yeah. Throwing the crew forward nearly a millennium was the ultimate reset button. No argument there.
Yes.
And
it was a good reset button.
I think it was a great reset button. The constant, quote-unquote, impossible situations and gigantic plot, what the heck's, WTH's, this season was a distraction, and there were part of episodes that were fun and exciting. But I liked the story of trying to solve the burn. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Even though that story was suburned. I'm not, I just quoted what you wrote there, Bill, most of the time. So I think there was a lot of wasted time this season, but less than the first 2 seasons. I hope that season 4 will finally get back to exploring both some strange new worlds, but also showing where some of our old friends and adversaries have gone in the past 900 plus years. Like, where are the Klingons? I've also wanted Star Trek to explore some of the species that we had one encounter with. For example, the Horta. I like that idea.
Hey.
So, yeah, really. So, great characters, a good framework that's a clean story palette. Hopefully, season 4 can only go up from here. And Saru, the most compelling character of all of them, had better not be gone long. I've heard that Doug Jones is a regular in season 4, so you can rest easy on that one, Bill. Then we got a comment from Katie Edwards. Hey. Wow, this was fun.
Yeah.
He says, I love it. You nailed all my favorite points from the season, and I love the analogy to Enterprise's unsuccessful attempt to build new canon. I think one of my favorite examples of how the series has evolved is in the very last episode. Book knows Burnham needs the backup, and he's now with the now freed Starfleet scientists and officers. So what does he do? He guards their escape because they're the best chance Burnham has at getting help. I love that. I'm so tired of sci-fi where the main male hero is allowed to blunder into every situation simply because he's a male hero, or say whatever he wants to say with no consequence. There were real stakes in this episode, and Book made the best choice to help the woman he loved. He gave the lead to someone qualified, and that's just one echo at how the series gives all of its characters a chance to shine. I really think this is one of the most flawedly executed seasons of sci-fi I've seen. It definitely ranks high on my aging, always aging list.
Yeah.
Then moving on, regarding News Sushi number 108, morsels of news from Japan and beyond, there was a comment in that article from Hamish Downey about the Konbini boys, and they simply wrote back with a big thank you. Moving on, regarding Ben's gay breakdown, Marriage and Murder May Have You Cry Wolf, which is the name of a book that I reviewed. Got a comment from the author, Charlie O'Hara. She says, thank you, Ben. I'm so glad you enjoyed it, and I appreciate your lovely review. Then, moving on to TG Geeks episode number 309, we got a comment from Hicks, Michael Hickerson, that we know from our Slice of Sci-Fi days. We gave him a birthday greeting, and he says, thank you. And then we talked a little bit about Star Trek in that episode, and we got a comment from Arkle. He said, my dad actually got to meet DeForest Kelley at a con. He always told me of all the actors he got to speak to, Kelly was by far the nicest, and I've heard the same thing too.
Yeah.
And then we talked a little bit about Voyager and how there was one episode that I hated. And he says, let me guess. The episode of Enterprise Ben didn't want to watch was A Night in Sick Bay? The answer, no, that wasn't it. The episode was, and I'm going to get flamed for this one because everybody else loved this episode and I hated it. It was Congenitor. Cogenitor, yes, thank you. Then moving on, regarding News Sushi number 109, morsels of news from Japan and beyond. We got a comment from Yaniz. I mean, this guy is like becoming a regular follower of us.
Yeah.
And he said, that was a very entertaining feature, not to mention I love sushi. I'll pass on the adult chocolate milk foaming drink, though. I can't drink anything with alcohol. Can't wait for the next time. Two things. Yeah, Yaniz, whatever your real name is, I don't know. I love the fact that you found us on one of the Facebook groups. I think that is so totally awesome.
Yeah.
And I totally support why you don't drink alcohol. Hey, good going on you, guy. I'm proud of you. And that is our feedback for this week.
If you want to leave a comment, you can do that on our Facebook page or directly at tggeeks.com on an article or an episode article. You can also give us a comment on where? Twitter and Instagram.
Instagram, Facebook, website,
yeah, there
phone.
you go. All those things. And if you happen to be of the wordy type and you want to leave us a message, you can do that because we have a listener feedback line.
And we would really welcome that.
Yes. Call 469-TG Geeks. That is 469-844-3357. Actually, and if you look us up on Skype as TG Geeks and you make a Skype call, it will ring into our voicemail. So you can do that via Skype and you don't have to pay for time and whatnot on your phone. And as always, please play nice. Well, as everybody knows, we are huge supporters of independent creators, whether filmmakers, comic book artists, writers, or others. And since the con scene or convention scene has disappeared for this year and likely, or last year and likely most of this year, please look them up on their Etsy pages, Facebook pages, their websites, Twitter, Instagram. Look at their stuff. Buy their stuff, talk to them, talk to other people about them, tell other people about the stuff that you like, that they might be interested in. Please consider supporting independent creators. If you are trans or are questioning your gender identity, and if you are in crisis or are feeling isolated and need someone to talk to, or you know of someone in a similar situation, there is a special hotline just for you. The hotline is provided by translifeline.org and staffed by trained counselors who are transgender themselves. The hotline in the U.S. is 877-565-8860. In Canada, it is 877-330-6366. Or you can go to translifeline.org to learn about the important work they are doing. Please reach out for help. You are not alone.
Yeah, baby. They're like two gay geeks. They're together, you know. They're two gay guys and they're geeks. Is that okay?
I'm trying to push buttons and keep a cat from jumping up on my lap.
Yeah, I can see
all
that.
at the same time, so I keep hitting the wrong things.
Well, we only have just like a minute or so, but we wanted to briefly touch on WandaVision.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. I will say
it's great.
I'm loving the
it.
series. I could understand why some people are choosing to wait until the entire series finishes so they can watch it all in one big run. Because these last couple of episodes have just left us with the most delicious cliffhangers.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like chomping at my bit, saying, what happens now?
Exactly.
The only thing that really sucks is I have to stay away from all social media and not even look at my emails.
Exactly.
Because I get emails from like comicbook.com, and
they splash the spoiler,
right
in
in front of you.
headline.
And I'm like, well, crap. Actually, I say much worse. But it's like I can't look at anything on a Friday until we have a chance to walk away, from our computers and sit down in front of the television.
Exactly.
And that's really frustrating.
Yeah, maybe we need to get up at like 3 a.m. and watch the episode
I'm beginning
first.
to wonder, maybe that's the first thing we need to do in the morning now on a Friday so that we can get it out of the way and that way we don't have to deny ourselves.
Exactly.
But I'm loving it right now. And the big,
great,
shocking reveal of the last episode was delicious. I'm not surprised by who they revealed, but I am delighted on how they revealed it.
Yep.
And that's all I'm going to say on that. I thought it was really lovely.
It was great.
And it's time for our weekly review. These are the items that we ran on our website at tggeeks.com. And the links for each of these articles will be in the show notes for this episode number 314 at tggeeks.com. Starting with Sunday, February 14th, Nerdy Chupacabras number 35. On Monday the 15th, TG Geeks episode number 313. On Tuesday the 16th, Ben's Breakdown, the Stand series wrap-up. On Wednesday, the 17th, HBO documentary films Tina, an intimate portrait of the legendary singer Tina Turner, debuts March 27th. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
On Thursday, the 18th, Agoraphobia from White Lotus Productions gets North American release. On Friday, the 19th, Hamish Downey's 5 Questions with Tony Clementi Jr. And then on Saturday, the 20th, this got made by Carlton Tetley, Season 2, Episode G, Battlestar Galactica. That was a lot of fun. I loved it.
It was.
Have to give a couple of shout-outs. First, to the Arkle Times Post-Dispatch News. You heard some feedback from Arkle a little bit earlier. His name is Brian Weber. You can find the Post-Dispatch News by finding him on Twitter. Do that by searching for Arkle, at ARKLE. And while you're just searching for all things Arkle, go to YouTube and look for Arkle Studios, youtube.com/Arkle Studios. Brian has a number of projects, his Shameless Cash Grab series, his Rants vs. Zombies series, which has officially ended, but you can always listen to past episodes, as well as his game videos of Trick and Treat and Star Trek Online. We did take one day and we actually looked at some of his stuff, especially his Star Trek Online. He's got some entertaining stuff there, so check it out. We also have to give a couple of shout-outs to some Facebook groups for allowing us to post our episodes and relevant articles on their pages. First, to Gay Geeks After Hours. Big thanks to the moderators for literally saying we could share away our content. Their URL is facebook.com/Gay Geeks After Hours. And then to The Gay Geek for the same. And their URL is facebook.com/groups/The Gay Geek. I think that's where Yadniz comes from. I think that's how he's following us.
Yeah.
And we must give special thanks to their moderator, Jeremiah Reeves.
Yes, thank you, Jeremiah. Other places we are found are Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Amazon Podcasts, part of Amazon Music, as well as where other fine podcasts can be found. Also, you can check us out on Sci Fi Radio, formerly Krypton Radio, and check us out on 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific Time on Tuesdays. Listen to their other content. They are a 24-hour geeky internet sci-fi radio station. Please rate us and review us on iTunes, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out our article for this webcast episode. We're going to have several links on the page of things that we talked about. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. From TG Squared Studios, I'm Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. Please be kind to yourself and those around you. Stay home, stay safe, stay sane. Peace.
Cheers.